Hello everybody and welcome back to Breaking Points, giving you motorsports coverage beyond the checkered flag. But this isn't the normal podcast, is it? No, this is Bailey's Breakdowns, where I'm going to be breaking down the social media strategy of Formula One. Let's get started. I think the best place to start this is where I came into the sport, because I came in 2021 and it is very different than it is now. Before anyone says it, no, I did not get into it through Drive to Survive, but I did get into it by watching something. I was scrolling on Twitch and I saw someone streaming one of my favorite video games, which is Counter-Strike Global Offense, and found out this guy's pretty funny. So I subscribed and then later found out he was a McLaren Formula One driver. I didn't know what Formula One was at that point, so I did some digging and I saw a lot of funny clips. I saw Max Verstappen and Daniel Ricciardo. They were doing interviews on track and they were flipping people off. I saw other Formula One drivers streaming on Twitch. They were doing Goat Simulator. You don't have to feed the goats. You are the goats. You ram into stuff. And those are the drivers that I fell in love with. They're very different now. And that's what we're going to be talking about. Why the approach is different now than it was in 2021. And if we think it's good.
Stai bene? Spegni il motore.
Does that remember you some parts of this year? Bad memories.
I am stupid. I switch off everything.
Let's take it back to when I think the initial shift started. Now granted, I've said it, I joined in 2021, but I think the real shift started in 2017 because that's when Liberty Media took over. They started catering towards a younger audience, and we've seen that in Drive to Survive. That was made to reach new people and new eyes, which it very much did.
Can I get you to tell me who you are and what you do for a job?
I'm Daniel Ricciardo and I'm a car mechanic. Yeah, I think because I just have amazing natural abilities. I'm the epitome of human high performance. It's just hard. It's just hard to be humble. It's really hard.
My best highlight is the 1-2 in Monza. I think you can probably just cut to Daniel saying exactly the same thing.
What's your highlight of the season?
Monaco. LOL.
I think they did a great job because I've never seen such a big boom from any sport that I follow after they were made into a TV show or a movie. So if their goal was to get more eyes, they certainly did it. However, they didn't take into account the fans that watched the racing when they were making that show.
Netflix are a real bunch of cunts, aren't they? I'd love for them to play that. They're not going to play that.
I think there was another shift in 2020 because obviously COVID. A lot of sports were shut down. Formula One was no different. And a lot of the drivers decided to stream on Twitch. Famously, the Twitch Quartet, which consisted of Lando Norris, Charles Leclerc, George Russell, and Alex Albon.
Oh no, I forgot to mute them in the chat. George just lining up the mega toll on you, Stoffel.
Hey, Albon, what are you doing?
Hey, Albano!
I would refer to that as peak driver fan engagement because you could talk with the drivers, and that's usually what the fans want, especially younger fans. They want direct connection. They want drivers that they can relate to, which is why I followed Lando Norris in the first place. He streamed a game that I watched. He streamed one of my favorite games. Therefore, I have a connection to him. Banana Leclerc.
Et là, je vais le mettre pour la partie, je pense.
Sérieux? Je vais finir sur ton stream, j'ai regardé ça.
So, here you go, guys. This is... Oh my god. I've never looked so good.
I mean, what else do I gotta say about that? Also, just the fact that they were streaming and it was very unfiltered.
What is the best purchase you've ever made? Like, it can be anything.
My girlfriend?
Is it Mother's Day in the Netherlands today?
Yeah.
Happy Mother's Day.
I'm not a mother.
The fans liked it. Coming from a fan perspective, now looking back at all these clips in the height of COVID, I wish I was a part of it. I have severe FOMO. But it's fine. I'm fine.
Someone's not happy. B, you have to go shower.
Oh no.
Oh, great, no!
I give up on this, I
Yeah,
really
and then
do.
you can come back. B, and then you can come back. No, B, you can go shower, come on.
Yeah.
Then you come back.
That's the exact reaction I had this morning when I had to shower.
B, no, it's so good. Come on, it's so good. It's bath time, yeah. It's bath time, come on. B, you can come back after.
This is when Craig gets served a salad.
Chaos.
We want to hear a song.
So, where does the change come from? I think it's because of sponsors. They have more eyes on the sport, they're putting more money into the sport, and therefore there's more risk and obligation for the drivers. They want to control their images, the drivers and the sponsors, and by association, the teams.
Oh my god, it's red.
I was going to say the same thing.
It's like someone spilled some fucking yogurt over him.
Oh, what would be your word for the season?
If I have to choose one word, I was going to say fulfillment.
Fulfillment?
There's no way he's come up
Someone
with
just
that
told
on
him to
his
say
own.
that. It was going over in his head before it came out.
It also could be the fact that the racing teams see that they're getting more viewership and they want to protect their brands, which totally makes sense too. But if your goal is also to have a very strong fan base, you don't want to push away the fans that are so passionate about their drivers.
You make F1 what it is.
To the flag wavers.
The hat wearers.
The painted faces.
And the track invaders.
Like, I'll be honest at this point, I am not a team fan. If you ask me about any other series, chances are I will say I have a team. But Formula One is different. I don't actively root for a single team. I root for drivers. Why do I root for drivers? Because I relate to them.
Easy flag in the white here. Oh yeah, lap one. Well, be careful what you tell me. Yeah, maybe. What happened to Gabby? He kept the flag.
So, who are my drivers, might you be asking? Kimi Antonelli. He is the first guy that I started following when I first began watching the races. In 2021, I didn't have the money to pay for an F1 TV subscription, so therefore I couldn't watch Formula 1, couldn't watch Formula 2, couldn't watch Formula 3. But I did find Formula 4 on YouTube, so that was the first series I watched. And Kimi, I liked his driving style. And then I saw his content that he did with Prema Racing, and I said, yes, this is the guy that I need to be rooting for. So, we have Kimi Antonelli, which, youngest championship leader, might I add. Let's go. Oscar Piastri. Kind of similar to how I found Kimi, because they were both at Prema Racing. And I saw all the behind-the-scenes content about Oscar. Dude loves to sleep. Sleeping is my favorite pastime, guys. When I'm not watching racing, and I'm not recording podcasts, and I'm not going to school, I will be sleeping. You will catch me sleeping all the time. So, that's the fun part. And that's why I love Oscar. And I love Max. Mainly because he has such a dry humor, which is very relatable to me. And he is so stocked up on energy drinks. And he's a very interesting driver, because everything that I'm saying about being too connected to your brand, he is his brand. He is one and the same. But it's authentic to him. He grew up in racing. His dad was a racer. I'm not going to mention all the trauma that's related to that, but he has a lot of racing in his background. He grew up in racing. He's been in Formula One for 11 years now? But the difference is he's not tied just to Formula One. He does iRacing. He just entered the Nürburgring 24-hour race. Like, he's not limiting himself to Formula One. I don't want to believe it's a brand thing, because anytime I ask someone, they don't say they follow a team. They say they follow a driver. Like my friend, I'm going to call him out, and I'm going to call him admin, and he'll know who he is. The first time I asked him who he followed in Formula One, he looked at me and he said, well, I guess Mercedes, because that's where George Russell drives. He's a George Russell mega fan, and I love it for him. But I don't like George. I don't relate to George. He seems too posh for me. And that's okay. But I'll still root for him because my friend wants to.
Which one's your boat, George? See that really big white one in the distance? Yeah, not that one.
There's the obvious answer that the further you get in your career, the more PR training you get.
Amsterdam tonight? Amsterdam? I've never been, so if you want to...
They can give you a good massage in Amsterdam.
Yeah? Thanks.
Which does make sense as well. Obviously, Lando was, 20 when I first started following him? Maybe 20 to 22. I don't actually remember. I think he was born in 99. So, I'm going to say 21, which is fine. So, considering it's also been 5 years, he's now 26-ish. To say that your humor has changed and your life has changed in 5 years, yeah, it definitely has. So that's also a very plausible answer. But there is two examples that I really want to talk about with that have just rapidly changed that I've seen.
Kimmy told us a little story. For those who don't remember, let's have a little watch.
Yeah, Spa last year, we made a joke to his physio, to his personal coach, trainer.
Right.
Coach. And we made a joke and we stole his credit card. And
stole Ollie's credit card?
No, the trainer.
No, the
Ollie's
physio.
trainers.
Fine, right, okay. So, that's almost worse, but fine.
And then we went on the internet and we started buying random stuff with his card.
Look at that cheeky laugh.
That was when you give racing drivers who are still teenagers too much time.
Yeah. Can you tell us what you bought? Because Kimmy couldn't remember.
I can't tell you what we bought because that's personal to my trainer.
Sure.
But I can tell you that wasn't the only occasion that we took things out of his wallet.
Oh.
Because, well, he lost his identity card. So that meant that he wouldn't leave the track until he'd found it. He ended up closing the garage.
Oh, Ollie!
Funnily enough, he's not my trainer anymore, so maybe that's
why.
part of it.
You were teammates with Kimi Antonelli in Formula 2. Would you like to remind our audience here what you two got up to? Because you two have become known on the Formula 1 internet for confessing to crimes while appearing on this podcast. What did you two, and by the way, we should say at this point, it was all done in good humour. What did you two get up to with Kimi?
Was it the credit card fraud or
It
something?
was.
Oh!
Which you admitted to on our podcast.
And then again here at the home of the British Grand Prix.
Loud and clear.
Just remind everybody what happened there.
I plead the fifth. We have taken this seriously. We have spoken to the FIA, who, and I'm sorry to say, we have to wrap up the interview time with you anyway now.
I'm off.
You won't be racing this weekend, and we do have to say goodbye to you now because you are going to be taken away and questioned.
So we've got some security here. This is for taking your personal trainer's credit card and ordering
I've got
things.
the number if anyone wants it. I'm sure I've got it written down somewhere.
It's too late.
Before I go. For now, Ollie Behrman, thank you, and you must now leave the stage.
4, 6, 5, 3.
No, you only get
4, 7, 4.
Cut his mic. No,
9, 8, 4, 6.
No. We'll see you in the slammer.
Which was last year, so it was not that long ago. Well, they told the story last year, but it happened 2 years ago, I'm assuming in 2024. It was a very funny story and it was a very funny act that I don't think they really did. I think it was being exaggerated. But you just don't hear those kinds of funny stories anymore. And I think it's also because they're getting older, they're understanding that they're in the pinnacle of motorsport.
And one of the great motor races begins in 5 lights time. And the Monaco Grand Prix is underway. I
want to talk about when drivers became less of athletes and brand ambassadors and started feeling more like billboards. It's unsettling. Now, I will have two very different sides of this coin. Max Verstappen's one of them. But he's also been very vocal about the fact that he only owned Red Bull shirts for the longest time. But I feel like in the last few years, he's expanded a lot more. And I'm probably going to give props to Kelly Piquet for that. The girlfriend effect's real. So, the fact that he has worn less Red Bull shirts is astounding. And I credit her for that. But then on the other side, someone who has become more brand focused, and that's Charles Leclerc. Honestly, I've found myself rooting less and less for Charles Leclerc in the recent years because, and I want to preface this by saying I do understand that Ferrari is deeply ingrained in his family's history, and Gilles Bianchi, I want to preface, I know that. But there has to be a point where you notice that you are no longer just representing the team and you are the team. And this is, do not take words out of my mouth, this is not me talking bad about Lewis Hamilton. I love Lewis. He's great off track. I mean, yeah. But when you ask a sponsor to rent a car for your wedding, and in a bunch of those pictures for your wedding, you have your Ferrari logo kind of front and center, there's a problem. It's more of a, lack of a better term, it's more of a billboard. And I think it's also different between Max and Charles here, because Max represents Red Bull. I can go to the store and I can get a Red Bull for $2. Or I can go to my school and I can get one for free. Ferraris aren't that cheap. I don't know if anyone saw the new Ferrari car that looks more like a Prius. That's over $600,000. No offense, that's more than I make in 5 years. I don't make that kind of money. And it drives a wedge as someone who used to root for Charles, and I'm trying to say, this is the same person. But it's also not. Again, it's been 5 years, 5-ish years, since I've started following the sport, and he is different since then. He has gotten a taste of success, he's gotten 8 career wins.
Before all of this
And especially on his wedding day, I just have to think, at what point... Here, let's imagine this. At what point would you include your employer in your wedding day pictures? As a normal person, when would that happen? You probably wouldn't. Would you invite your employer? Maybe if you're really close with your boss and stuff. But the guy who signs your paycheck, I wouldn't want the person who signs my paycheck in my wedding pictures. And no offense, but that's no different here. Incorporating your sponsor in what is referred to as the biggest day in your life, that's kind of where the line between athlete and brand blur. They are one and the same now. And once a driver becomes the brand, I think it's a lot harder to relate to fans. I'm at the point where it's no longer Charles Leclerc the driver. I find him synonymous with Ferrari. Which, I mean, that's probably his goal. To be fair, that is probably what his goal was to do, was to become synonymous with Ferrari. But on the fan side, it doesn't feel right to me. Mainly because Ferrari is such a luxury brand, it doesn't... He no longer seems approachable. So now I do actually kind of want to talk about a couple drivers. Granted, they're not there anymore, but even when they were in F1, they were able to separate themselves from the teams. Take Yuki Tsunoda. Granted, he is a reserve driver, so he is still a part of Red Bull Racing now. But I can't tell you a single thing that Yuki did on track. But I can tell you all the stuff he did off track. He was an amazing cook. He pulled chairs out from under Liam Lawson all the time.
Oh man, you're so kind. Thank you very, very much. Really appreciate it. You gonna bring it in for me as well? Yeah, thanks. Are you serious?
I can tell you those funny things because he separated himself by making his off-track identity so pronounced that he was a funny guy to follow off the track. He was a funny guy to follow off the track. He really was. Bring Yuki back.
Just one slice all the way through. Look at that.
Am I doing well?
Professional already.
Beautiful. It's okay?
Yes.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Look professional. Can I work here then?
Yes. I've
Yeah,
actually
okay.
already submitted the job offer for you.
This knife is insane.
So one of the things we would love to do today with you is actually to build a Gumkan dish, get some feedback, and we'd love to run it as a special over F1 weekend.
I'm kidding.
And the other one is I can't do a Formula One episode and not talk about my favorite driver of all time in Formula One, which is none other than 4-time World Drivers' Champion Sebastian Vettel. You thought I was gonna say Max, didn't you? No, I've already talked about Max. We're talking about Sebastian Vettel, who had absolutely no problem with flirting with journalists.
Question to all three drivers. There's just 112 days until we're in Australia. What are your plans now between what are you going to be doing over the winter break?
What are your plans? You seem to be counting the days. Can't wait.
Talking back to reporters every once in a while, and he just looking at his off-track activism alone, he stood up for what he thought was right, and he didn't care what the FIA, what Formula One, what any team that he drove for cared. He stood up for what was right, in his opinion. He wanted the fans to know that he stood with them. And that's why he's my favorite driver. He was unapologetically authentic. And you just don't see that anymore because there is a rule. If you stand up for what you believe is right, you can get fined by the FIA. I think that the FIA is punishing drivers for doing what they think is right. And that's a fact. That is a fact. If you have to put in a rule in place that limits what drivers can do before a race, there's a problem.
Ladies and gentlemen, can we all please have a 1-minute silence for the end of the life of my burger buns?
So, that begs the question, is the change good? And I think it depends on who you ask. If you ask the sponsors or the teams, of course it is, because their brand is more polished and they're more marketable. But if you're asking fans, not really. Because fans want relatability. They want something that they can cheer for. They want to see some part of themselves in the drivers. Because that's what creates lifelong devotion. And not in the weird parasocial way. I'm not trying to say that. But I am trying to say that it was a lot easier to root for certain drivers if they weren't doing good, but it was because of something that I was similar on. Like, it was a lot easier to root for Lando when he played CSGO every other month. It was a lot easier to root for Lando when he got upset that something was near a fish. It was a lot easier to root for Charles when he was dressed as a banana. It was a lot easier to root for Charles when he forgot his English sometimes. It was a lot easier to root for drivers when there was something outside of the racetrack that I had to look forward to. And yes, this is also me talking about poor performance from the teams, which is technically no problem to the drivers. But when you get fans' eyes, you also have to be knowledgeable that the fans, when they find a driver that they like and they want to watch more of that driver, they're going to watch the races. And then their on-track performance should somehow tie back to their personal. And if they're not doing good on track, they need to be doing good off track. So, overall, it just depends. Do I personally think it's good? I think it's, again, I really do think it's depending on who you ask. As a fan, no. But as someone who has studied marketing, oh yeah, it's great. It makes it a lot less risky. And coming from a NASCAR background, I know I had to mention NASCAR in this episode. Coming from a NASCAR background, we do have unfortunate experience of the risks that come with live streaming. It is entirely unfiltered. And once it's out there, it's live. There's no such thing as taking it back. But in the NASCAR case, he got upgraded. In the one time that happened in Formula 2, he was fired. And he never came back. And then he did a couple off races in IndyCar. So, it's a big scale of pros and cons you have to weigh on this.
Oh my goodness! This is impressive. Now I'm coming on your camera, mate.
Yo, what?
Yeah.
kidding now. Steady. You are screaming.
My English is very bad. Sorry. I was saying,
it's Ben's first line.
I'm coming in the way. I'm coming to see you, mate. I'm coming to see you.
F1 did a great job at getting a younger fan base. Obviously, with the eyes on Drive to Survive, with these Twitch streams from the drivers, they succeeded. And that's what we should be focusing on, is the fact that they do have these younger fans, and they got it through the storytelling aspect. They should capitalize on that. Give more leeway to the drivers so that they can continue building their off-track brands.
Driving at 300 kilometers an hour through this part of the track.
The sport is bigger than ever, but as drivers are becoming global brands, they need the space to be those brands outside of being race car drivers. I'm not going to follow Lando Norris, the McLaren F1 driver. I'm not going to follow Charles Leclerc, the Ferrari F1 driver. I'm just not going to. But I am going to follow Charles Leclerc, who thought you had to feed the goats in Goat Simulator.
Hello, guys. You like my new voice? What? You don't like my voice? This is Charles, mate. You don't recognize my voice? Come on. I'm just watching the game now.
I am going to follow Lando Norris, who ordered 17 spring rolls.
How many spring rolls? Have you eaten any yet?
Yeah, 3.
How many? You've had 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14.
15, 16, 17.
You ordered 17 spring rolls?
Yeah.
Is that fucking normal?
I like spring rolls. Vegetables.
I am going to follow Max Verstappen, who says that his friend on a stream looks like he makes alien conspiracy theory videos.
He's not using the controller.
It looks like he makes alien conspiracy theory videos on YouTube.
Yeah. Wow.
I hurt my shoulder.
Oh my god.
That's who I want to follow. I don't want to follow corporate BS. So, the question isn't whether or not F1 should protect its brand. The question really should be, is there a way for Formula One to protect its brand without taking away the personality of the people who made it what it is? And that's the bottom line. So, that's going to do it for our first episode of Bailey's Breakdown. I will see you in 2 weeks.